Hi everyone, so in my last episode we talked about debt and how to get out of it, and today I'd like to talk about the difference between good debt and bad debt. This is my definition between what the difference between good debt and bad debt. So bad debt is anything that takes money out of your pocket. Good debt is anything that puts money back into your pocket. That's the main difference. So let me explain what bad debt is. Bad debt is you borrowing money for anything, as I said, that doesn't put money directly back into your pocket. So let me give you a few examples of what that might be. So first thing could be holidays. I often see people that have been borrowing money to pay for a holiday, a very expensive holiday that they can't afford. That's certainly not putting money in your pocket. It may be creating memories, which I do also agree with. However, I don't agree with creating debt to create those memories. So the second thing that people often spend or take a debt for is a car. They take a car loan, and it's often to impress either friends or family, or to get something more expensive than they can actually afford, and it's a debt they don't actually need. So the question you often need to ask yourself is, do you really need that particular vehicle? Do you need that BMW? Do you need that Mercedes? Do you need that Lexus? Or could you actually buy a cheaper vehicle? Because they both do the same job. They get you from A to B. The third thing that people actually borrow money for, and they don't actually often think they're borrowing money, is on their credit card. For some reason, when you have a credit card balance, one seems to think that that money is your money. It's certainly not your money. It's the credit card company, and they actually charge you a really high rate of interest for that privilege. But what do you use those credit cards for to create that ongoing debt? You use it for clothes. You might use it for shopping. You might use it for appliances. You might use it for furniture. So a loan doesn't necessarily have to be a personal loan. A credit card is still a loan, and you pay much higher for it as well. And those are the things that people create bad debt for, things that they don't really necessarily need, they're things that they want. We tend to make our wants our needs, and our wants aren't our needs. Often these loans and these purchases are to do with instant gratification. I'm not going to talk about too much about instant gratification today. That's going to be on one of the next episodes, and I'm going to cover that area in a lot more detail. The last debt I'd like to cover is your mortgage. Most people think that mortgage is a good debt, but let me pose this question to you. Does the mortgage payment come out of your pocket? Are you paying money out of your pocket each and every month? And if you are paying it out of your pocket, that is classified as a bad debt because it's still coming out your pocket. Those are really the main areas of what bad debt is. And what I'd really like to do now is talk about what good debt is. And I've already said good debt is anything that puts money back into your pocket. So I have personal experience because I invest in property, and I have people that rent from me, and the rent that I receive is higher than the mortgage payments that I pay. So hypothetically, if my mortgage payments are £1,000 a month and the rental income that I receive is £1,300 a month, after I've paid the mortgage debt of £1,000 a month, I physically receive £300 each and every month. So that's the difference between a mortgage that's a good debt compared to a mortgage that's a bad debt, because that physically leaves me with money in my pocket each and every month. In addition to being a really good debt and getting an income, what that allows me to do, that surplus income that I receive from the rental, either gives me the choice to spend that money on myself or to use that additional income to reduce my other debt, like my mortgage on my own home, to accelerate that process and go back to the snowball effect that I talked about in one of my previous episodes. What other things are good debt? Well, good debt could be to actually invest in yourself and to raise your financial IQ to allow you to get a better job or to invest your money in a better way. So sometimes you're investing in yourself for a short period of time, so that might be your student loan. So where you're actually enhancing your education so you could get a better job, that you can have a higher income in the years to come to actually pay for the investment that you've made in yourself. Talking on the education side, in terms of self-development and raising your financial IQ, I read a book many years ago called Think and Grow Rich. And that book is really the foundation of showing people how to understand how you go from being poor to being wealthy over a process of time. And I invested and I borrowed money at the time through my credit cards to invest in my financial IQ, my financial education and my self-development to allow me to understand about money and how to invest it wisely. Think and Grow Rich is about you understanding the principles that over time you become wealthy. But you have to think it first. You have to portray the principles and the belief that if you take the steps, it will happen. So, you know, are you wealthy? You're wealthy over time. But if you start now believing you're wealthy, you will become wealthy. Your brain doesn't know the difference between fiction and reality. If I say to you now, don't think of a pink elephant, you're thinking of a pink elephant. Does a pink elephant exist? No. So your brain is able to create something that isn't even really there just by putting a thought in it. So if you give yourself positive thoughts about money, you start educating yourself about money, about raising your financial IQ, over time you will become wealthy. Most people confuse wealthy and financially free. Being wealthy takes time. It's a time factor. It's the compounded effect. However, becoming financially free, for most people whose income, disposable income is between £1,000 and £3,000, you can actually accelerate that process if you educate yourself about understanding about passive income over a 6 to 18 month period. So a few months ago, myself and my family were on a Channel 5 program called Rich House, Poor House. And while I was in that property, I started to have a real desire to try and help the family whose house we were switching. And I started looking at different ways that they could actually make money. While I was in this property, again, we're talking about good debt versus bad debt, but I wanted to show a way of how they can actually make their money go much further. So again, we're talking a good debt versus bad debt. And what I was there, I found a government scheme that gave a 50% return on your savings. This is the question I'd like to pose. If you could get a guaranteed return of 50%, would it be worthwhile maybe borrowing money at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% and getting a return of 50%? That's a 40% difference between what you're paying and what you're receiving. So there are lots of things like that out there if you spend a bit of time where you could actually borrow money like a mortgage. So the mortgage is the same thing. I'm getting a rental income of £1,300. My mortgage is £1,000. I'm making money on a monthly basis. A loan could be the same thing. Could you take a loan and invest it where your return on your loan, if you're paying 10% on your loan and you're getting a 30, 40, 50% return on your investment, is that worthwhile doing? Again, that's the difference between a good debt and a bad debt. So what I'm going to do with the government scheme, I'm actually going to post the link down below to the government scheme. There's actually 3.4 million people that qualify for that scheme. And over the coming weeks and months, I'm going to put some more links to other kind of investments that are 100% guaranteed by the government or similar that will allow you to increase your wealth very fast. What I don't want this video to be about is financial advice. I want to really make you understand the basic principles between good advice and bad advice. I want you to raise your financial IQ so you know there's a difference. There's lots of people out there that can help you understand how to invest your money in the correct way. I'm not here to show you how to invest your money. I just want you to make aware that there's a huge difference between a good debt and a bad debt, and just want to start planting those seeds to allow you to accelerate that process to you becoming financially free, wealthy and happy. I really hope I've given you the basic understanding of the difference between a good debt and a bad debt and what the basic principles are. Please remember to like and share and follow my page. If there's any information you want, it's really important you put some comments below, and I'll pick up those comments in future videos and episodes. I hope you've learned something. Are you going to use it? We'll see.